Ladies and gentlemen, you ever wonder why some women just won't fully let go, even when they've made it clear they're not interested romantically? Like, they'll say, "I don't see you that way," or "I'm not ready for a relationship." But they still text you late at night, still ask how your day went, still get a little weird when you start pulling back. And it's confusing, right? Because her words and her actions don't match. You start thinking maybe she's changing her mind, maybe there's still a chance. But deep down, you feel like you're in emotional limbo. Here's the thing most people don't talk about. Emotional attachment doesn't always follow the rules of romantic interest. A woman might not want to be in a relationship with you, but she can still feel deeply connected to your presence. She can get used to the way you check in on her, the way you listen when she vents, or the way you always show up when she needs someone. That connection becomes familiar, it becomes safe, and even if she doesn't see a future with you romantically, she still craves the emotional safety net you've provided. Sometimes it's not about wanting you, it's about not wanting to lose what you represent in her life. And that's real. We're humans. We get attached to patterns, to consistency, to the people who make us feel seen. She might not be daydreaming about marrying you, but she still smiles when she sees your name pop up on her phone. That small dopamine hit. That's emotional attachment in action. Now, let me be clear. That doesn't make her manipulative or intentionally cruel. Most of the time, she doesn't even realize she's holding on. It's not calculated, it's subconscious. She might think, "I don't want to be with him, but I don't want him to disappear either." So she keeps engaging just enough to keep the connection alive, not realizing that every message, every phone call, every touch of affection is giving you hope while she stays emotionally undecided. And maybe you're thinking, why doesn't she just stop? If she doesn't want me, why won't she just cut it off completely? The truth is, walking away from someone who's emotionally important, even if you're not in love with them, is hard. Just like it's hard for you to let go of the idea of being with her, it's hard for her to let go of the emotional comfort you provide. People don't like losing access to warmth, even if they don't want to commit to the fire. There's also this quiet guilt she might carry, the awareness that you care more than she does. That guilt can keep her from pulling away, because she doesn't want to hurt you more than she already has. So instead of ending things with clarity, she stays halfway in, halfway out, enough to keep your heart hooked, but not enough to move things forward. And whether she means to or not, you end up stuck in the space between what is and what could be, that space where you're investing real emotions, but only getting breadcrumbs in return. You become her safe place, her emotional cushion, her just in case, and she might not say it, but deep down, part of her might be thinking, what if I change my mind later? That's why she can't fully let go. It's not about you not being good enough. It's about her not being sure enough, and in the meantime, she doesn't want to lose the comfort your presence brings. And let's be honest, she might even be afraid that once she lets you go, someone else will get all that good love and consistency she took for granted. So you end up giving without getting, staying hopeful while she stays hesitant, trying to decode mixed signals that were never meant to be clear in the first place. You're investing energy into something that looks like intimacy, feels like connection, but leads nowhere because her heart's not fully in it. And yet, she won't let you go not because she wants to be with you, but because she doesn't want to feel the loss that comes with your absence. That's why even when she says she's not interested, she still holds on. Let's talk about fear, specifically the fear of being alone. Because whether we admit it or not, a lot of decisions we make in relationships or situationships are rooted in that fear. When a woman doesn't want to be with you but still can't seem to let you go, this fear often plays a bigger role than most people realize. It's not always about feelings for you sometimes. It's about the feeling of not knowing what life will be like without you. And that uncertainty, it can be paralyzing. She may have already told herself you're not the one, that something's missing, or that she's just not feeling the same way you are. But despite all that, there's something comfortable about having you around. You've become part of her routine, someone to talk to, someone to laugh with, someone who's emotionally available even if she's not reciprocating in full. And the thought of removing you from her life completely feels like jumping into cold, dark water. Because even if she doesn't want a relationship, at least she knows she won't be alone when you're still there. There's also this other thing that happens. What if she's wrong? What if one day she wakes up and realizes that she did love you, but by then you're gone? That fear of missing out, that what if whisper in the back of her mind, keeps her tied to you in subtle, sometimes confusing ways. She may not want to take the risk of building a future with you, but she also doesn't want to risk losing the possibility altogether. So she stays close enough to keep the door cracked open. That's why her behavior might seem so inconsistent. One day, she's distant. The next, she's warm and curious again. And you're left trying to read between the lines, hoping this new version of her means she's changed her mind. But what's really happening is that she's caught in that uncomfortable space between loneliness and clarity. She's not reaching out because she's falling for you. She's reaching out because she's afraid of the silence that comes if she doesn't. You might hear people say, if someone wants you, they'll make it clear. And most of the time, that's true. But we also need to understand that people are layered, especially when it comes to emotional vulnerability. Wanting to feel loved and cared for is a human instinct. It doesn't always come from a pure place of romantic desire. Sometimes it's just a need to not feel invisible, to know that someone somewhere still thinks about you, still shows up for you. This is especially real for women who have been through emotional highs and lows. If she's experienced abandonment or heartbreak before, even a lukewarm connection feels safer than starting over again. And so she stays, not out of malice, not out of manipulation, but out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of choosing wrong, fear of regretting it later. You might not be her person, but you're the one who's there. And in moments of doubt or loneliness, that can mean more than she's willing to admit. So what does she do? She holds on. She keeps you emotionally present, maybe not front and center, but close enough that she still feels your warmth. She asks about your day, keeps inside jokes alive, maybe even flirts a little, just enough to keep you from walking away. Because as much as she says she's not ready to lose you either. That fear becomes a silent driver in her decisions, keeping both of you in this emotionally confusing in-between zone. And let's be honest, it's not just her. At some point, we've all struggled with letting go of someone who made us feel safe, even if they weren't right for us. It's easy to judge from the outside, but fear doesn't always respond to logic. It responds to comfort, to familiarity, to the anxiety of having to reintroduce ourselves to new people and risk new pain. Holding onto someone just in case becomes a way to delay that discomfort, to buy time before facing the quiet truth of what's really missing. That's why she won't let you go even when she's already told you she's not interested, because the silence without you feels scarier than the confusion with you. Let's get real about something that not many people want to admit sometimes. It's not love, not even deep emotional attachment, but something else that makes a woman hold on when she's not genuinely interested. Sometimes it's the feeling of control, the comfort of knowing someone is always there, and the ego boost that comes from being desired. And I know that's not an easy thing to hear, especially when you've been giving your time, your energy, your affection, hoping that something meaningful will grow from it. But the truth is, people don't always keep others around because they want them. They sometimes do it because they enjoy what those people provide them emotionally. When a woman knows you care about her, really care, it creates a certain emotional dynamic. She doesn't have to do much, and yet she still gets affection, attention, and affirmation. That's powerful, not in some villainous or calculated way, but in a very human way. We all like to feel wanted. We all like to feel special, and when someone gives us that feeling consistently, it becomes hard to give up, even if we don't feel the same way back. You might think you're being patient, proving your loyalty, waiting for her to realize your worth, and from your side, that might be genuine love. But from her side, it might feel like a comfort zone she's not ready to give up. She doesn't need to commit, she doesn't need to choose, and yet she still has someone emotionally available whenever she needs a boost. It's having the best parts of a relationship without the responsibility of one. That's where the ego steps in. Knowing that someone is willing to stay, even when they're not being chosen, can be flattering in a twisted way. It reassures her that she's still desirable, still wanted, still in control. She might not even be aware of it consciously, but on some level it feeds her self-esteem. And because of that, she keeps you close enough to feel your presence, but distant enough to avoid commitment. You've probably experienced it. She doesn't text for days, and just when you start to move on, she sends a message. Not a full-on declaration, but just enough to keep you emotionally hooked. Maybe it's a memory she brings up, a compliment, or something playful. You start to think she's coming around, but she's not. She's just reminding herself that she still has access to your energy. And again, this isn't always done with bad intentions. Sometimes people are navigating their own insecurities, their own sense of worth. If she's had relationships where she felt powerless or ignored, then your steady presence becomes something she doesn't want to lose, not because she sees a future with you, but because it makes her feel in control now. It becomes less about you as a person and more about the role you play in her emotional world. You become the mirror she looks into when she needs reassurance. When things go wrong in other areas of her life, you're her reminder that she's still lovable, still worthy of attention. And while you're hoping that every interaction brings you closer, she's just using it to feel centered again. It's not fair, it's not healthy, but it happens more often than people like to admit. Some women even fear what it will mean for their self-worth if the attention stops. If you finally walk away, if you no longer reach out, it feels like rejection. Even though she never truly accepted you to begin with. That's when she'll reach out just to test if the connection is still there, if she still holds a piece of your heart. Not because she's changed her mind, but because she wants to confirm that she still has the power. That's why some women can't let you go, even when they're not interested. Because in a world where everyone's fighting to feel seen, validated, and in control, your presence becomes a quiet ego safety net, and letting that go means facing a part of themselves they might not be ready to deal with yet. Sometimes the hardest part about letting someone go isn't about what they are right now, it's about what they might become. And this right here is one of the most confusing emotional traps people fall into. Especially women who aren't fully interested, but still can't seem to walk away. It's not always about the current version of you. It's about the version they hope you might turn into, or even the version of themselves they're hoping to grow into someday. That hope creates this mental space where she can't commit, but she also can't detach. She's caught between reality and possibility. Maybe she knows you're not the one she wants today. But in the back of her mind, there's this voice saying, what if he changes? Not in a forceful, manipulative way, but in a quiet, lingering sense of potential. Maybe you'll mature in a way that aligns more with her. Maybe you'll start showing up differently, becoming the emotionally available, driven, or confident man she's been waiting for. Or maybe she believes that one day she will become more open, less guarded, more ready. She's not where she needs to be emotionally right now, but she doesn't want to close the door on a future version of herself that might feel differently. And that mindset can keep someone lingering for a long time. It's not that she's trying to waste your time. She may even believe she's being honest when she says she's not ready or that she's not sure, but deep down, she's leaving space for the what-ifs, and those what-ifs are powerful. They blur boundaries, they weaken decisions, and they keep you tethered to someone who isn't really moving forward with you. You'll see it in the way she says things like, "I just need time," or "I don't know what I want right now," or "I feel like you're a great guy, but something's missing." And you, being patient and hopeful, think, if I just keep showing her I'm here, if I keep proving I'm worth it, she'll see it eventually. And maybe she will. But more often than not, what she's holding onto isn't you. It's the version of the relationship she wishes could exist. And she's trying to figure out if that version can somehow still happen with you. But the reality is, people rarely change in the ways we script in our heads. And love isn't about holding on to someone because they might become who we want. It's about seeing someone as they are right now and knowing that it's enough. So when a woman keeps you close but doesn't move forward, it's often because she's emotionally stuck in between disappointment and hope. Disappointed that it's not what she imagined, but hopeful that maybe someday it still could be. That hope can be gentle, even innocent. It's not always selfish. She may not want to hurt you. She might genuinely like you, even care for you deeply. But she knows she's not all in. She feels the hesitation. Yet instead of walking away and facing the grief of letting go, she clings to the hope that one day the pieces will fall into place. That either you'll become everything she wants, or she'll start seeing you differently. So she keeps you there, not fully in, not fully out, while time quietly passes and nothing really changes. And maybe part of her is also afraid to admit that the thing she's waiting for might not happen, that this imagined version of the relationship is just that imagined. Letting go would mean letting go of that dream, and sometimes that's even harder than letting go of the person. So she tells herself it's okay to keep you around, just a little longer, just until she's sure. But the truth is, she's never going to be sure, not because she's confused, but because she already knows. And that's the hardest part. She already knows, but she doesn't want to accept it yet. That's why a woman can't let you go even when she's not interested. Because as long as you're still there, she doesn't have to face the loss of the future she built in her head.